Hi there. This is Jo Zuleika, founder of the Facebook group Women Who Lead with Heart. And every week I come on live to do a training on leadership. And often it's focused on the inside stuff. And I like to call it leading from the inside out. That we're only really effective, we're only really that much more capable of leading others once we really can get a hold of what's happening for ourselves internally. So I call it like leading from the inside out. It's like classic emotional intelligence. And this week's lesson is about self-belief. And I started by asking those in my group, do you have some challenges with positive self-belief? Do you have positive self-talk or negative self-talk? Do you have inherently positive beliefs about yourself or challenging negative self-belief? And what I want to teach you is going to be two parts. One is sort of an esoteric lesson about beliefs and how they work. And then the other is a super simple technique for how to get a handle on what's going on for you. So here's the mind-blowing, truth that I want to drop about belief. And it is this. A belief is just a thought that you think all the time. If you think about any belief that you hold in your life, anything that you accept and assume to be true, it is a thought that you have been thinking for a long time, that you accept, that you believe, that you don't challenge, that feels normal, and that you accept as true. Some of these beliefs are given to us at a very young age. We're told what to believe. We're taught what to believe. There are paradigms of thought in school and religion and in politics where our parents or those that we look up to tell us what to believe, and we take it at face value, and that becomes our belief. But as we move into adulthood, we need to look at what serves us and what beliefs don't serve us anymore. And not just continue to think the same thoughts that lead to beliefs that may not be powerful, empowering, helpful, and productive. So the way in which you want to think about this is listening to your thoughts. If a belief is just a thought that you think all the time, that you assume is true, that you never challenge, listen to it. Listen to what your self-talk is. What are you telling yourself? And is it positive? Is it affirming? Is it helpful? Or is it shaming? Is it critical? Is it full of, I should? Is it full of a feeling of lesser than and not measuring up? Oh, my thighs are so fat, right? Or I really should work out. Or I wish I was more like this. Or I could never be like that. I have a really good friend, and she's in this group, who often says, I try to meditate, but I have the attention span of a fruit fly. I can't focus. I can't control my thoughts. This is a belief that she keeps selling herself because she's saying it all the time. So you want to be really conscious and careful with the talk that you're feeding yourself. I follow a spiritual thought leader who talks about how whenever we're trying to become better in our lives, we should be as compassionate and encouraging as we would be with a toddler, with a child that's just learning how to do something for the first time, that we love on and find amusing and see the bright light of growth and that quality of knowing that they're going to master something and we're there to help encourage them on their journey. So when you see a toddler like trying to walk and they keep falling down or plopping on their butt or teetering, you don't look at them and say, come on, dummy, get up. Get up, you silly. You should be figuring this out by now. You should already know how to do this. That's not how we encourage positive belief, right? So you want to treat yourself in the same sort of compassionate, encouraging, empathetic way. You listen to your thoughts all day. You are the one that speaks more to you than any other human or source in this world. So be careful what you're feeding yourself. So the very first step about getting better self-belief is just to listen to the thoughts that you have. Listen to your self-talk. Pay attention to it. And ask yourself, is this helpful? Do I want to keep believing this? And now I'm going to fall into the more simple 2 ways of handling when you find a belief that isn't helpful. It's limiting. It's full of self-doubt. It's critical. It's not empowered. Here are 2 ways that you can then work with being in that space of feeling demoralized, down on yourself, not encouraged, discouraged. The one classic way a lot of teachers will tell you is to reframe that negative thought. To ask yourself, is that really true? You know, for my friend that believes that it's impossible for her to be able to slow down and meditate, is it really true that you do have the attention span of a fruit fly and that you can't slow down and just breathe? Is that what you want to believe? Is it helpful for you to believe that? So the idea here is there's a perspective shift that you can kind of talk yourself down from these hyperbolic absolutes. I could never do that. I'm so this. I'm not at all that. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too fat. I'm too this. I'm too dumb. I'm not, anything that is really trashing yourself. You want to listen to that and first really question, is that really true? And can you soften it just a little bit? Maybe you do feel loathing for yourself in some aspects of your life. But if it's not helpful, if it's a demoralizing way to believe and think, then challenge that and try to soften that belief just a little. Try to soften that belief by reframing it in the nicest possible way that is still true to say, I did fall off my diet today, but I've had a lot of good days. Or I can always choose my next meal. Or I love that there is so much choice available to me at the grocery store. I love that I always get another chance. I love this part of my body, even if I didn't love that part of my body. To find some positive aspects to focus on. That's a key way for you to reframe a negative thought, a disempowered belief, an aspect that is debilitating you from really expanding into the powerful sense of you. Is first you listen to what that voice or what that message is saying to you. What is the thought? See if you can soften it a little bit and find a more positive aspect or challenge its truthfulness. So that you want to try to loosen these knots that are really binding you and keeping you stuck in this narrative that really isn't true. There's a bunch of other ways with reframing thought that we could go into, like thinking about yourself the way others see you, not the lie that you're telling yourself. And you can even ask your community. You can ask people around you. I'm working on this belief and I'd love to hear what your impressions are of me in this way. So that you sort of expand the perspective that you're holding on this belief that isn't helpful to you and is limiting or damaging. There are other ways to reframe your thought by choosing better thoughts. There's a way to find something more positive to think about, which means almost deciding not to focus on something that's really got you triggered and hooked, and instead find some more upbeat energy before you address the thought or belief that really has you hooked and kind of pulls you down like quicksand. Sometimes it's difficult to navigate and to coach yourself through the moments when you're really stuck in a disempowered thought or where you really feel like it's hard to challenge a stubborn belief that you don't want to hold anymore. And so that brings me to my second and really curious and fun way to challenge bad self-belief, negative self-talk, and that is to focus elsewhere. Sometimes we are in that quicksand experience of just feeling low, blah, stuck. And it's difficult for us to coach ourselves up and out from that place. And so the lesson here is to not turn the focus inside where it is so tricky and you're having difficulty swimming to the other side. The current is strong. The current of negativity is strong. The history of bad self-belief or negative self-talk is so strong. It's got you hooked and it's pulling. The idea here is you can focus and look for positive aspects outside yourself. This is where pets are so healing and helpful. If you're really stuck in a negative self-belief shame storm, or you're feeling low, or you don't know how to navigate your way up and out, being with another being, or being in nature, being with a pet, being with an animal, being out in nature, and feeling positive aspects for things outside of yourself is a way of lifting your energy up and out from that negative spiral that has you pulling down like quicksand in that negative belief that has got you hooked in a pattern that's probably been there for quite a while. So you basically are casting your line, your fishing line outside of yourself to find something else to focus upon and to love on. The challenge here is feel good. Find a way to raise your energy by loving on something else. If it's too hard to love on yourself in that moment, love on your dog, love on your daughter, love on a beautiful tree, love on nature, love on a beautiful memory that lets you know things are better than it may seem. In the quiet recesses of your mind that want to convince you that it's otherwise, find something to love. The idea here is actually that your energy, once it lifts, you're able to sort of unwind some of those knots that are tied probably from a very tightly wound place of youth. And then you can maybe find that energy to soften the judgment that you've been holding on yourself. In the end, your worthiness, your self-belief is not assigned externally. You don't get positive self-belief and positive sense of self-worthiness from the external world. This might seem tricky because maybe you feel like, actually, my parents gave me a strong sense of self-esteem, or a very traumatic event in my youth took my self-esteem. And you might want to assign this very personal quality or characteristic of self-belief and positive self-talk and high self-esteem externally. But the truth is, your worthiness always comes from within. It always comes from the belief that you hold to be true. Not what other people believe, but really what you believe. So if you were brought up in a very supportive family that gave you a sense of wholeness, you might feel like your worthiness was set by them, but it's really something that you internalized and is now yours. And the opposite is true. If you had a very damaging upbringing and traumatic experiences when you were young and feel like that robbed you of a sense of self-belief and a self-esteem, then it's just the thought that you keep thinking about it that makes it true. But the only important thing that is happening to you in your life is right now, and you can choose the thoughts that you have right now. It's not always easy. It's not always immediate to completely rewire a challenging negative self-belief. It takes practice to work on the doubt or the negative self-talk, but it is achievable, and you can spiral up and lift up and out from any negative self-talk with practice, with a more affirmation-based self-talk that is more encouraging, more compassionate, and more empathetic towards yourself than the judgment that comes with criticism or sort of self-flagellating. So that's that. The idea is that belief is just a thought you keep thinking, and your beliefs arise from thoughts that you think all the time. You can change your thoughts. In any given moment, you can change your thoughts. One way to do this is to short circuit the energy that you're in and find a better feeling thought, like being with a pet or being outside or watching a funny movie. There are some bypasses that you can use that can help lift you up and out. And then you can reframe those negative thoughts, those negative self-beliefs, the negative self-talk that might be there to something slightly more positive in its aspects that is affirming. You don't have to tell yourself that you're perfect and beautiful and everything's, sunshine and roses if that's not really, really true. But you can find something nicer to say to yourself, and you can start working on finding a better feeling thought. So I'd love to hear what you think about this. And I want to announce that at the end of this month, this is July 2020, I'm going to be offering a free week-long challenge to help women in this group build self-confidence. And one way is in addressing what we're talking about tonight, about having better self-belief. So if you want to go deeper and you want to really kind of unpack this and find confidence through your better self-talk and better self-belief, look out soon. I'll be sending you an invitation. It's totally free. It'll be a week-long challenge of coaching with me in this group. And I'm really looking forward to it. So hopefully we'll get to chat more about this soon. Let me know how you take this lesson, how you can find a better feeling thought, how you can speak nicer to yourself. Maybe claim one disempowered thought that you're ready to shift in the comments below. That's it from me. Go well.